These players will lay out their opening hands in a moment. They'll draw them, and then we will watch them play for day number 2. Only one of us get the opportunity to make them. Will be Caleb or Jim. We'll see. Make sure you give us a follow over on Twitter at SCG Tour, hashtag SCGMKE for your tweets all weekend long as you take part in our largest open of all time here on the SCG Tour. And it's been a fun one so far, I must say.
Yeah, it's been sweet. I mean, the metagame feels oddly defined. I mean, definitely we're seeing a lot of Hollow One, a lot of Pyromancer, a lot of humans. But I think there's still a lot of room for exploration.
I think the metagame's in a good place, though. Mario Pyromancer for Caleb Durward. I was actually really hoping he was going to play Band Spirits this weekend. He likes to brew. This Caleb, he really likes to brew.
And this is a deck with a lot of room for, I think, innovation and exploration too. I mean, I think you could really load up on, I think there's a possible build where you load up on the Metamorphoses and try to push the curve down and really become a Bedlam Reveler deck. And you know, even a lot of ways to build the mana base, and do you want Blood Moon in the main or not? I think there's a lot of room for exploration even inside of this archetype.
Jim is going to take 6 cards here. Caleb's going to keep his 7. So while Jim takes a look at 6 cards, Patrick, did you know StarCityGames.com has a weekly sale?
I do know that.
Do you know that?
I did know that, and I do know that.
Well, for those that don't know, you're going to tell them all about our weekly sale right now.
Well, you can head over to Star City Games every week. There's a new weekly sale that goes live 11 o'clock in the morning East Coast time, so make sure to be checking back once a week. Right now, up to 50% off hundreds of non-English favorites, including Erebos, God of the Dead.
Ooh, this should be good.
Liliana.
Which one?
Man. Whatever. Tolarian Academy and a Chroma's Memorial.
It's the easy. It's the Liliana Vest. It's the first one.
Liliana Vest.
I'm surprised you got a Chroma's Memorial, actually. I was actually really... I thought for sure you would not get that.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what a Chroma's Memorial does?
I think it just grafts a Chroma keywords onto all of your creatures, and at the start of your turn you have to sacrifice something.
I didn't think you had to sacrifice anything.
I'm not 100% sure on that other part.
Do you know how much mana it costs?
7?
Jeez, you are killing it today.
It's a sweet design.
You're normally not good at this. Thoughtseize, targeting Jim. Path and Snapcaster along with lands.
I believe it's one of very few designs in Future Sight that's not an F-.
I don't think it's from Future Sight.
Oh, okay. I thought it was.
It does graft. Yeah, it grafts a Chroma on all your abilities. It does cost 7. You don't have to sacrifice.
You don't have to sacrifice anything.
No.
What am I? There's something in Future Sight that I'm thinking of.
It's from Future
right?
Sight. It's from Future Sight.
It is from Future Sight. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
I know there's some design in Future Sight that makes your creatures sweet and then makes you kill them every turn.
I think you're thinking of like Eldrazi's Monument.
Maybe.
Is that what you're thinking of? 5 mana, they get like +1/+1 flying and like indestructible, and you have to sack one each upkeep.
Yeah, they're.
That card was nice.
You know what's a fun thing to do with making your creatures sweet is killing them, just all in one design.
Well, the Eldrazi are doing a little processing. It's no big deal. Lightning Helix will take care of young Pyromancer. Jim will play a copy of Field of Ruin, pass the turn back. Dig in, gents. I think we might be here for a little while. Caleb will sacrifice a Marsh Flats, excuse me. It's been a long day. Get a land. I think we're going to see a Lingering Souls here.
Lingering Souls, one of the best weapons in this kind of matchup. Really good against sweepers, removal spells, planeswalkers. I think part of the Electrolyze is plenty powerful just on rate, but I think part of the reason to be playing Electrolyze in decks like Jeskai is specifically Lingering Souls is part of that.
An aggressive Field of Ruin there from Jim.
Also fixes his mana.
All right, we're going to head back over to Jim now that he's fixed his mana a little bit with Field of Ruin and potentially messed up Caleb's. Jim will draw. Flooded Strand in hand, along with a Supreme Verdict, a Path to Exile, and a Sulphur Falls. Jim will play Sulphur Falls, but he doesn't have any of his powerful 4-mana spells right now, like Cryptic Commander, Jace the Mind Sculptor, so we head back over to Caleb. In for 2, that's the easy part here for Mr. Durward. The follow-up is a Faithless Looting. So Caleb will draw 2. He'll be discarding 2 here in just a moment. Lingering Souls and Dreadbore will go to the graveyard. And now Caleb will recast Lingering Souls.
Discarding Dreadbore there. An interesting signal from Durward that he's not concerned with Jace the Mind Sculptor. Certainly has a lot of pressure on the table, but you'd have to be very confident, I think, to let that one go fully when you're playing against a deck with Supreme Verdict as well.
Celestial Colonnade, the draw there for Davis. And now here's Supreme Verdict to clear away a bunch of those Spirit tokens. Durward will sacrifice his Bloodstained Mire to search up a land here. He'll go get himself a Blood Crypt. It's kind of like what you mentioned a little bit earlier about the Mario Pyromancer deck. It's not a deck that plays a lot of white mana. It's basically a red-black control deck, mostly splashing white for Lingering Souls.
Yeah, you can only go so deep with the white splash before the Blood Moons in your own deck become a little bit too awkward.
And oddly enough, taking a look at Caleb's mana base, Jim went after the Sacred Foundry. That is Caleb's only source of white mana. He's got 2 Blood Crypts, 3 Mountains, 2 Swamps, and a bunch of fetch lands. But yeah, he only has 1 Sacred Foundry, and it's gone now. So just something to be cognizant of. As there's young Pyromancer. But this this red-black control deck that disguises itself as a Mardu deck, it can grind.
For sure. From Davis's side, I think trying to manage these games with spot removal is a hard way to do it because Durward has so much, the Lingering Souls and the Young Pyromancer to make that a tough way to do it. I think where Davis can get his edge in this kind of matchup is by overpowering Durward with Sweepers and Jace the Mind Sculptor. But managing the game with the Snapcaster, Mage, Path to Exile, Counterspell sort of stuff against Lingering Souls and discard spells is very challenging.
I like Jim getting a little bit aggressive here with this Colonnade. Not going to win this game by playing defense, so he's going to come in here with a little bit of offense, firing up his creature land. See if Durward wants to block with a Spirit token or not. Looks like the answer is yes. Jim does have Path to Exile in hand. Not sure if he wants to fire that off right now or not on the Young Pyromancer. Looks like he will. Durward will get to search up a land. But this is actually, oddly, a matchup where I don't think the long game favors Jim. I actually think it favors Caleb a lot of instances. Any thoughts on that?
Well, it just kind of depends on the stuff that's going on. I think Davis with Jace the Mind Sculptor is a huge favorite in late games if that sticks. But it is a little, Davis's control measures in this matchup are a little uneven. They don't line up the right way a lot of the time because Durward sort of implied that he gets to draw cards on the way in or get a token for his trouble or flashback a Lingering Souls, and that management makes it maybe a little bit better for Durward to be grinding than for Jim.
The Young Pyromancer is going to come back via Kolaghan's command. Caleb made Jim discard a card. His last card was a Steam Vents. There's attack for 2 in the air. Davis is going to untap, and he will draw.
An interesting last turn that Durward elected to chump block. That's an indication from his side that he feels if we're going long, I'm going to be a huge favorite because of the Bedlam Revelers and the Kolaghan's command. The short game where Davis runs you down with the Colonnade and then bolts you out, that's what Durward's concerned about right now. Not about Jim drawing a bunch of card drawing spells or control cards and being able to win the game that way.
Yeah, that's why I think if I'm in just kind of overlooking this game, it just seems like there are games that Jim can win going long. I think those games only involve Jace because Caleb has these Bedlam Revelers. He's got these Faithless Lootings that he can keep getting deeper in his deck and discarding the irrelevant cards. So I think that Jim probably has to win with these Colonnades and burning the opponent out.
I think the Sphinx's Revelation is another card that if the game drags, it's a way to pull ahead.
Okay.
There's only one on the list.
Blood Crypt here for Caleb. We'll go back over to Caleb now, who's got 2 Bedlam Revelers in hand. along with, I believe, a Kolaghan's Command now. Well, actually, it's a Liliana the Veil, which is not a bad draw. Beatdowns.
And right into the colonnade, so Davis has to know his block is no good. But what's the alternative?
Who's to say there is one? There's Liliana. Logic Knot, okay. Just make Caleb pay 4 more mana. Doesn't appear as though Caleb is able to do, so Liliana will go to the graveyard. Does he want to play a Bedlam Reveler here or not? Assuming that he can. Go ahead, partner.
I was going to say, the Reveler back is just such a powerful option to have in the event that Davis peels a sweeper. And with the Supreme Verdict in the graveyard, Davis is also drawing a Snapcaster Mage as well. So I think it makes sense for Durward to do other things to advance this board and leave the Reveler back, so that if Davis is able to put a sweeper together, you can reload that way.
Faithless Looting and Bedlam Reveler went to the graveyard. Blood Moon was actually found there by Caleb off of that Faithless Looting. So now here comes Colonnade in for 4.
And Blood Moon's not a shabby draw here either, because Durward has to respect the possibility of Colonnade plus getting burned out. So getting that off the table, it's not the worst.
Path Exile is going to take care of the Young Pyromancer. We've seen this line of play before here from Jim.
Also noteworthy, if you get the Blood Moon on the table, then you don't have to worry about the Supreme Verdict being flashed back, because Davis will no longer have double white.
It'll be much too difficult for him to do that. Jim with only 2 basics on the battlefield right now, and a snow-covered island and snow-covered plains.
See, now I don't mind, just play everything, because the Blood Moon shuts out a lot of Davis's cards that you would need to hold the Bedlam Reveler for.
And here is Bedlam Reveler. I'm going to discard a Collective Brutality, draw 3 new ones. Now here's an attack for 3. Davis going to fall down 9. It's all tied up. So head back over to Jim now. Black Leaf Cliffs entering the battlefield untapped, given the new Blood Moon rules.
So the new Blood Moon rules amount to essentially any non-basic land loses its text.
Yeah. It's a mountain. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Makes a lot more sense.
Okay, command. And Jim's going to concede the game. Cryptic Command not going to be able to be cast there thanks to that there Blood Moon. As Caleb Durward's going to win game number 1 here over Jim Davis. Mardu Pyromancer relatively quickly up a game here over Jeskai Controls. Both these players are going to go to the drawing board, which means we're going to take a 2-minute break. And when we do come back, we'll go to the drawing board right along with them. But for now, commercials. Caleb Durward, Jim Davis, that's the match in front of us here as Mario Pyromancer up a game over Jeskai Control. Davis will be on the play for game 2, so we'll take a look at his sideboard of 2 Ancestral Visions, 2 Vendilion Clique, 2 Dispel. A lot of ones here in Blessed Alliance, Gideon Allies, Zendikar, Anger of the Gods, Elspeth's Sun Champion, a Wear Tyrant, Staticaster, a Celestial Purge, a Negate, and Engineer Explosives. I like a lot of Jim's options.
I do too, and I kind of want more card drawing and more Haymakers. I think that's Davis's best setup for the matchup here, so I definitely want the 2 copies of Ancestral Vision, the Elspeth Sun's Champion, even the Gideon Allies, Zendikar, the Anchor of the Gods. Just make his deck denser with cards that are high impact and more ways to find those cards.
Go to Caleb's side of things. It's got 3 Nile Spellbombs, 3 Molten Rains, 2 Wear Tear, 2 Collective Brutality, a Rakdos Charm and Surgical Extraction, Anger of the Gods, and Engineer Explosives. Another copy of the very powerful Blood Moon.
I want to go after those lands, the Blood Moon and the 3 Molten Rains. Weird. And if you want to get away from some of the creature removal, which is not great in this matchup, the Nile Spellbombs I think carry enough with Logic Knot, Snapcaster Mage, and Search for Escanta all in Davis's deck.
You want to go after the lands, huh?
I want to go after those lands.
Yeah. It's the first time for everything here, folks.
And from Durward's side here, you got 4 Lightning Bolts and the Kolagon's commands. I guess those are fine no matter what, even if they don't really have targets as such, because the floor on that card's so high. The Terminate, the Dreadbore, 2 copies of Fatal Push. There's definitely room for him. Now, you may want some of that stuff to protect yourself from Colonnade or maybe some other creature you're anticipating, but he has room to cut a lot of that stuff, I think, for the anti-land measures and for the Nile Spellbombs.
Well, those are the options there for both players. They're going to shuffle up here and get ready. Get ready for game numero dos.
I also like Nile Spellbomb a little bit because when you're playing with a card like Bedlam Reveler that says discard your hand as a cost, it's nice to put cantrips onto the battlefield you can go back to later, so you can get your hand empty as possible, Bedlam Reveler, and still be able to convert the Spellbomb back into a card somewhere down the line.
That all makes sense.
They play well together.
No, I think I got it. Yeah. Davis on camera so far this weekend? Nah. It's been ugly. It's been ugly for Jim. Watch him get absolutely destroyed by Living End, and that first game wasn't a particularly competitive one. But for the former Players Champion, it's a deck that he likes a lot. We've seen him lose playing for top 8s with. And maybe we'll see him make day number 2 a competition, though game 1, not a particularly good one for Jim, and he'll start things off with the Serum Visions. A couple copies of Logic Knot in hand here for Jim. Looks like he's going to split the difference on the scry, 1 on top, 1 on bottom. And we'll go back over to Caleb. Caleb will sacrifice the Marsh Flats. And he'll start things off with an Inquisition of Kozilek. See exactly what Jim is working with. 1 Cryptic Command, 2 Logic Knots. Let's make it 1 Logic Knot now. And a couple of lands. Keep in mind, Jim kept the top card of his deck on top via the scry with Serum Visions. So Caleb will record the information. There's also Snow-Covered Mountain, Snow-Covered Island, Scalding Tarn to go along with that Cryptic Command and Logic Knot. And now we'll head back over to DJ at JD.
Hand with some pretty natural protection against Blood Moon, which is nice for Davis.
Mm-hmm. Serum Visions is what Jim has kept up. Scalding Tarn past that turn back. Going to keep Logic Knot up at the ready.
Oh, yeah. Molten Rain. Whew, talk to me.
Yep.
Talk to me about it.
There's not much for me to say. You've already articulated how you feel about it.
Oh.
Yeah, I just can't wait for dinner later tonight. Okay, so what's land 20 and 21 going to be in that red deck?
Yeah, I'm going to have a screen open with Ranap Ruins, Mutavault, Keldon Megaliths.
Goblin Burrows, is that legal?
A Sun-Scorched Desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in the tank. Just not able to come out.
Can we splash?
Yeah.
People think I'm joking. Not joking. This happens on the regular.
Oh, yeah.
Logic Knot will bite the dust there from the old Inquisition. Caleb with Faithless Looting now. He'll draw 2. And he'll discard 2.
So he knows next turn he's got a clean shot at whatever he wants to do. Hey, I mean, that's whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
That's different.
Okay. Now Spellbound Collective Brutality like they're going to go to the graveyard. Jim's going to sacrifice his Scalding Tarn. Get a land out of the old deck. I mean, if you're not going to fire off a land destruction spell, what are you even playing them for?
Yeah.
Have we even weighed that question?
Why show up?
Yes. And Jim's going to figure out what land he wants to get here off the Scalding Tarn. It'll be a snow-covered island. Take that, Blood Moon guy.
Brian Marksack, Nicholas Marksack, David Myers, and Steven.
Yeah, the problem here is that if you search up any non-basic and you get Blood Moon, now you're off your Cryptic Command, and you're just very vulnerable.
Electrolyze the draw. Does Jim want to play Serum Visions this turn or a future turn? Looks like he's going to do it now. So he'll draw. Find a Steam Vents. Sacred Foundry and search for his Kanta. Boy, search for his Kanta is nice.
Yeah, seems like a really good matchup for Search for his Kanta. Not an easy card for Durward to get off the battlefield once it's there, and then lets Davis play a pretty long game.
Jim will play another island, pass the turn back. Durward. With a Blood Crypt untapped.
Let him know about it.
Nah. Nah, young peasy. And now Thoughtseize. Good Thougeize.
Yeah, oh yeah, you get that electrolyzed too.
Yeah, that's a good Thoughtseize.
I mean, you know, you would love to take the Cryptic. I'm sure that's the setup here, but I have to assume at this point it's now changed to electrolyze.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Not the worst spot here for Jim, though. He gets to resolve Search.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's worse than it was. But
I guess he doesn't have to do it this turn. He could just leave a Cryptic.
I don't. What are you doing if you leave up? Let's say you leave up Cryptic, and Durward attacks you. Are you end of turn draw and bounce your young Pyromancer?
Maybe.
If you're not willing to do that, then I think you should just cast it to the Search for his Kanta right now.
Maybe I'm just a little worried about what Caleb could do. I just want to keep Cryptic up.
I like this play from Jim. I think the Cryptic Command at this stage is so likely to be inefficient, especially with Durward knowing about it, and the upside of getting Search onto the battlefield is very high.
All right. Caleb will draw. Didn't get a great look at it.
It's painful, but no question about it. But
beatdowns. Jim will fall down to 16. Caleb does have a copy of Bedlam Reveler in hand now, it looks like.
Can't imagine doing that before just casting the Molten Rain here. You even get a, well, I mean, you get a, I guess, does he want to get the Azcanta instead?
When it transforms? If it transforms?
Yeah.
Because you don't have to.
He's got a Blood Moon in his hand, so he can just do it the next turn anyway.
All right, Bedlam Reveler.
Interesting.
Going to lose Molten Rain and Blood Moon. Picked up a Faithless Looting, a Sacred Foundry, and a Mountain.
So I think the reasoning here from Durward's side might be Jim, so trying to manage the lands here and playing this really long game is a challenge because of the Azcanta flipping and the Cryptic Command still in hand. He just wants to beat down a little bit.
Also, Jim is so far away from Supreme Verdict.
That's the other thing too. Durward does not have to worry about Supreme Verdict right now very much because Davis is just without any white mana whatsoever or a Supreme Verdict. That it's pretty safe to just add to the battlefield.
Wear Terror and a land will go to the graveyard. Now we'll head back over to Davis. Search for his Kanta time. Flooded Strand going to go to the graveyard. Search for his Kanta will transform. He's got a land. Draw a card. Flooded Strand.
And now Davis has to choose between using the Cryptic Command or activating Azcanta.
Not the easiest decision. He'll start by playing Flooded Strand. Pass turn back. Jim's got a healthy amount of life to work with, but it doesn't take much for Caleb to kind of climb back into this and get it over with, especially because he can start things off by flashing back Faithless Looting. Such a great card in this deck. Young Pyromancer's going to make another 1/1. Caleb will draw 2 cards. He'll have to discard 2, of course. But this always ensures that he's always working with good cards.
Yeah, we can pitch away, you know, discard spells he doesn't want, although I think at this point discard would be pretty good, but any extra lands, any of the straight creature removal he might happen to have.
And there goes some extra lands. This is an attack for 8. Jim's going to fall to 8. Caleb will play a Sacred Foundry. He's got Young Pyromancer left in hand. Davis is going to start by sacrificing a Flooded Strand, I believe. We'll have to see for sure. Yep, he's going to fall down to 7. This will be some sort of white mana, almost assuredly. Yep, there's a Sacred Foundry. Then we'll see an Azcanta activation.
Yeah, getting the Sacred Foundry here allows him to cast Anger of the Gods should it happen. And it's not like Jim needs any more blue mana to be able to cast Cryptic Command.
So top couple of cards here for Jim with Azcanta. Well, Ancestral Visions, you are a little late. Engineer Explosives, not great here. Can't take it anyway. Looks like he can take Engineer Explosives. We'll take a look at Azcanta. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them. Put it into your hand. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Jim found a Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, and Engineer Explosives here kind of gives him the ability to do what Davis needs to do to get back into this is it's 2 spells in 1 turn.
Yes.
Or it's a spell plus a Sunken Ruin activation. That's the path here. Explosives is something that he can play on the relative cheap. In fact, playing it for 0 here is not shabby, and blowing it up allows him to leave up Cryptic Command and activate Azcanta should he not need to play the Cryptic. The thing here is even if you Explosives for 0, you are pretty likely to have to use the Cryptic Command on something because of the likelihood that Durward's attacking for lethal even without the tokens.
So he's going to play Snapcaster Mage first. Target Electrolyze. Electrolyze is going to kill token plus Young Pyromancer, draw a card. Picked up another copy of Cryptic. EE for 0. Pass turn back. So that's your 2 spells in 1 turn.
And now you got your Cryptics matched up against just 1 threat on the battlefield.
Yep. Durward will draw. Now remember, Durward does have a Young Pyromancer in hand. I believe he also has another copy of Faithless Looting in the graveyard. But now Jim can actually start to take on a more controlling role in this game because he does have Azcanta. And I think if you're Jim, you got to block the Bedlam Reveler. Blow this. Yep, shields are down.
I mean, the plan here is plainly to start just pulling ahead with the Cryptic Commands.
There's Young Pyro. Here comes Faithless Looting. That's the last one of those that Caleb has. He'll get another Elemental token, of course. And he'll draw 2 cards. Kolaghan's Command among them. That's what makes this deck difficult. It does do a nice job of going long. Yeah, and also discard another Faithless Looting.
Davis is just right on the verge of being able to stabilize this game. And Durward's got to keep up he has to just keep deploying threats.
Yep. Lightning Bolt has been found.
Force Davis into a spot where he has to use the Cryptics just to tap and draw to defend himself rather than being able to proactively bounce things or counter spells. So a goal here for Durward is get into combat presenting lethal and put the burden on Davis to catch the Cryptic Command to tap and draw, or force him to have some removal spells, whatever the case may be.
One of the things about Bedlam Reveler, 3/4, not 3 toughness. Otherwise, Lightning Bolt will be very good against him. Jim's going to play a Lightning Bolt on a Young Pyromancer. Jim will pass the turn back. Not getting any easier for Davis as Durward draws a card. Durward, as I've mentioned many times this weekend, won our last Milwaukee Open when we were here. That tournament was Modern 2. He's shown both in real life and on his stream that he's got a sound understanding of Modern. Winning with Bant Spirits last time we were here. And on the verge of making day 2 once again with Mardu Pyromancer, 2 very different decks. Durward does have a copy of Kolaghan's Command in hand. He said, I want to go to my attack step, and Davis said, well, I'm going to cast Cryptic Command. Tap your creatures, draw a card.
Now, it's interesting. Now with Davis down to 1 card in hand, do you respond by Kolaghan's Command and get your last card? Do you have reason to believe this card is especially good? From Davis's side, it would be devastating.
Yes, but it did not happen. Here is K Command. Says, all right, I'm going to get Young Pyromancer back, and you take 2. So you go to 5. Will he play Young Pyromancer is my question.
I think with the game the way that it is, with Davis on the precipice of stabilizing and still not having a second white mana, so you don't have to worry about Supreme Verdict, I think you're supposed to play the Young Pyromancer.
Is this Staticaster's a heck of a draw? Probably supposed to cast it right now. Yep, kill that Young Pyromancer. That'll take care of the tokens. All that stuff moving forward. I think that may have been another copy of Kolaghan's Command.
Nile Spellbomb, I believe, was the draw.
Nile Spellbomb, okay. There's a Spellbomb. It is tough to run this deck out of cards, that Mardu Pyromancer deck. It is tough.
Looting still in the graveyard there for Durward.
Jim is going to counter and tap with Nile Spellbomb. So Jim definitely saying, I want my graveyard. Here's Faithless Looting. Caleb will draw 2, and of course discard 2. Looks like Liliana the Veil among the cards he's found. He'll keep Liliana the Veil. He'll lose Collective Brutality in Marsh Flats. Davis will untap. Davis will draw. Jim's so close to stabilizing. You might see a main phase as Kanta activation from Jim. He's also found a Hallowed Fountain. But Jim needs help. So he'll activate as Kanta. He's found a copy of Celestial Purge. He's also found Anger of the Gods, but Purge is definitely the better of the 2.
Right, that's everything now. I mean, you get the Bedlam Reveler if you want it, and the Staticaster to finish off the token.
Jim not willing to go to 3. And he'll just pass the turn back as he plays a Hallowed Fountain tapped. Here come the attackers. Gonna shoot there, Purge there. And now Liliana's going to join the fray here in just a moment. On the Bloodstained Mire. Liliana will plus, and Jim's going to lose the Search for his Kanta that's in his hand. I don't think he really needs that Search for his Kanta. That's not a huge loss. But now Davis is starting to take over. Durward's out of Faithless Lootings and everything else.
I'm not sure I like activating on the main phase here. I guess with Vision, okay, never mind. He's got enough main phase hits at this point.
He might know the main phase hits that he has.
Right.
Also, that clock is ticking.
I was going to say, if you find only Counterspell that's so bad that you lose it to the Liliana activation, but
well, you drew a card.
You can just keep the Hallowed Fountain back.
Yeah, just lose the Hallowed Fountain. Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
That's fair.
Knight Ally here for Davis. And now he's going to close this thing out, or he's certainly going to try to minus. I think I'd probably just sacrifice the Knight Ally, truth be told. The Staticaster's probably pretty good. Pass the turn back. Davis will untap very quickly. He'll draw a card. He's going to activate his Kanta again. You can see just how good his Kanta is in this deck when he gets the opportunity to transform. Jim will take a, okay. Sphinx's Rev. No more. Caleb knows he's beat. Jim Davis, Caleb Durward getting ready here for game number 3, and they're going to have about 11 or 12 minutes to play it. Neither player all that fast, but they're going to have to because they're both playing for day 2 right now. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll see which one of these guys wins and which one makes day 2. Caleb Durward, Jim Davis, about 12 minutes left to go. Margu Pyromancer, Jeskai Control. Only one of them gets to make day 2. We're going to find out who it's going to be. Caleb with a Thoughtseize to start. He's down to 16. Jim's hand has Search for his content, Anger of the Gods, and a bunch of lands.
Well, we saw what Search did last game.
Yeah, quite a bit.
And it's a really well-suited card for this matchup.
Davis going to play face up for now. He'll play Esteem Vents, pass the turn back. And we'll head back over to Caleb. Jim's draw for the turn was an Engineer Explosives. Caleb with a Marsh Flats. And he'll sacrifice Marsh Flats. Collective Brew.
With the intent of pitching the Lingering Souls here, so Duress and a Drain for 2.
Yeah, pretty good. See the EE. Anger of the God's going to bite the dust. Sulfur falls to draw here for Davis. He's going to play a Scalding Tarn, pass the turn back. Probably see him search up white mana with that. Third land here for Caleb for his Molten Rain.
Nope. Looks like he peeled another Lingering Souls.
But he'll just pass the turn back. Sacred Foundry the draw here for Jim. There is a Howled Fountain. And Caleb says, I'm going to bolt you right now. Caleb will draw. Young Pyromancer. He'll play that Pyromancer. Will Davis sacrifice the Scalding Tarn yet? The answer is no. Davis will draw. Snapcaster Mage.
Doesn't really pair with anything he's got going on right now. Can't do anything with Search for his Kanta and Anger of the Gods. Short on mana.
Davis will sacrifice the Scalding Tarn as we're down underneath 10 minutes now.
Wouldn't surprise me here if Davis just took the opportunity here to play his Engineer Explosives and take care of the Young Pyromancer. Not going to get a whole lot better than this, especially with Durward knowing that it's in your hand.
And that's part of the reason we haven't seen Durward flashback Lingering Souls.
Right.
Sulfur falls. EE, kaboom, pass the turn back.
Let him know about it. Let him know about it. Howl Fountain down. Howl Fountain down. Oh.
Basic Island down.
Oh.
Got Blood Moon
Big
right back.
plans.
Yeah.
That's big plans.
Big plans with a Blood Moon. There's a Field of Ruin as we head over to Caleb, who's drawing another copy of Bedlam Reveler. He has enough mana to cast it. That's impressive. And it's resolving, so 3 cards here for Caleb, 2 Lingering Souls in the graveyard.
And it looked a little unorthodox, but with Caleb tight on mana there, you saw I'm not going to flash back the Lingering Souls, and instead going to spend my turn bolting you to make sure he could cast the Reveler.
A little bit of confusion here why both players have stopped.
So Thoughtseize, Lingering Souls, Collective Brutality, Lightning Bolt.
Table Judge went to go grab a Judge.
Molten Rain, right? It's 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. 5 and then 3 mana, so we're good?
I think we should be good.
Okay.
Yeah. There's Blackleaf Cliffs, pass the turn back. Davis, land, Snapcaster Mage in hand. Lodge not to turn late. Sacred Foundry can enter the battlefield tapped. Two mana. Young Pyromancer. It's good. Lingering Souls going to be flashed back, which
and I don't
means
think
3.
Davis is not in a position to fight these smaller battles. He's got to hope to draw to his sweepers. I guess he can just Snapcaster Anger next turn anyway.
Yep.
Doesn't get the Bedlam Reveler, but it's at least an answer to this. But he can't be logic knotting the Young Power Mansions at this point.
Snapcaster made to draw again, so Glacial Fortress will come down. He needs a Path to Exile pretty bad here.
Imagine we're just going to see Snapcaster Anger.
Yeah, that's step one. Just taking care of the Reveler is the issue.
Yeah.
Inquisition. 2 snaps and a Logic Knot. Don't forget the Prowess trigger there as well. Yeah, a little surprised. Caleb could have just tried to win the game this turn. He's got Bolt and K command in hand. That would have been enough to get it done. It's an attack for 5, 6. It's an attack for 9, I think.
I mean, he's still in the same spot next turn, basically, because he has the Kolaghan's command left.
It's Bolt plus Kolaghan's command was lethal this turn.
Yeah, is there any risk of, he has a counter spell of some sort and you're short?
I mean, maybe Dispel. That's it, though.
Right. And this line seems pretty safe to me, because even if Davis untaps and hits you with a sweeper, you still have the Kolaghan's command left over.
Yep, well, Jim has nothing left. Caleb Durward is going to win this match over Jim Davis. 2 games to 1. Martyr Power Mansion is going to take care of Jeskai Control, and for your reigning and defending